You're right there?
You're okay?
You're for the Pixies? You're thinking about Blayke Brailey's pass again, aren't you?
Yeah, beautiful pass.
With a big smile on his face.
You think being in the middle of Des Hasler blow-up's awkward. I'm sitting between Brent Read and Michael Carayannis, which two blokes who do not get on.
Actually, he's still reeling from him in hoops going at it on 360 the other night. Good to see you have a stink.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
Held your hands up. Well, this is going to cause a bit of drama. There's supposedly 10 teams in the running for the top 8, but you reckon there's only one spot left?
1.5, I reckon, but definitely one spot left. I think, so the top 4 locked in. Right, everyone agree?
Raiders, Bulldogs, Storm, Warriors,
yeah,
lock it
not
in.
going anywhere, right?
Yep.
Brisbane, Penrith,
locked in.
I'm comfortable to say they're going to make the top 8.
Right. So that leaves us Manly, Cronulla, Dolphins, Sydney Roosters.
I think Cronulla will make the 8.
Hold on, can I clarify something? Obviously, before we came and did this, you were there. He said there was one spot left.
No,
he
I'm still
declared
going.
Cronulla in.
Now
now he's changed his tune.
We just got to Cronulla, and I said I think Cronulla will be in.
Okay, so there's one spot.
So one spot left.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm with you.
Why is Cronulla just locked in at this stage?
Look, the top Brisbane and Penrith are hard locks for mine. Yeah. I think Cronulla will make the 8. Right, so which leaves one spot
they've got
left.
A good draw. Have they not got a good draw? I think, and they look as though they've turned the corner, Cronulla, in recent weeks. So I'm with you, Mick. I think the Sharks are probably in.
Yep.
And I reckon Manly might sneak in for the final spot.
Well, that leaves Manly, the Dolphins, the Roosters.
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins have been outstanding.
They've been great.
Right, considering the injuries that those guys have copped, it's ridiculous to see how they're still not only like matching teams and beating teams because they've got a whole starting forward pack essentially on the sidelines.
Yeah. And they've got the best attack in the game.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
They've had regardless of what happens, they've had an outstanding year, and you could just wonder how deep they could have gone if all their forwards stayed on the park because they've lost not just like forwards, they've lost rep caliber forwards, right? Yeah. And for long periods. So they've done exceptionally well. I think the Roosters, I just don't think they got the cattle this year, the Roosters, to play finals footy. So I think Manly will sneak in.
Yeah.
So the rest of the teams
Gonski.
Enjoy next year.
Mick's put lines for everyone.
You?
Probably the same. Look, I think Manly will probably just sneak into the end, but I'm with you. I think it's out of Manly and the Dolphins probably.
Yeah.
Manly got a tough old run though, don't they?
What do you got for us?
Canterbury, Sydney Roosters, Canberra.
Yep.
Then you've got West Tigers. Round 25 is going to be huge, right, at Brookie. Seagulls, Dolphins.
Yeah, huge.
Round 25.
It feels like they've turned the corner, they mobs in the past few weeks, man. They look, there are all those stories about Siebes being on the outer and potentially facing the sack, blokes unhappy. You know, it shows what winning does, right? Winning cures all ills, and they've won 3 in a row. They look happy again. They look like a happy camp. And Siebes, no one's talking about Siebes now. So I just get the feeling look, Manly on their day can beat anyone. We all know that, right? And I get the feeling they've found the magic potion. They've turned it round.
I'm not as convinced as you yet.
You're not convinced?
I still think there's still the element that has hampered them for the past 2 seasons where they can go to Melbourne and beat Melbourne and then put in a poor performance the next week, right? Yeah. Like that's the issue for them. And you know, I've had big raps on them for the last 2 years. I had them in my top 4 last year. I had them in the bottom of my 8 this year just because of the sheer talent and calibre of players that they've got there. I still worry about their middle third, but
they'll get Paseka back soon.
And Olakau'atu's back, which is big for them, right? Back, so that Olakau'atu's a huge in. Paseka will be a massive in for them. Yep. So provided they can keep their head afloat, I think they'll make the 8. I'm just not as convinced as you yet because I've been burnt too many times that they've fully turned the corner yet.
You're scarred. You're carrying scars.
They're close, but like I just want to see them do it for a month, not a week. That's the concern for Manly.
Throw the buy in. It has been a month.
Yeah, but
is this a lesson to not be too quick to try and pull a trigger on a coach, or are we now?
It's what we do, Mobsy. It's what we do.
You didn't declare Siebes.
I never thought
Siebes gone, right? After a month.
I never declared Siebes gone. But it's what we do, man. We it's never as bad as it seems, but it's never as good as it seems, right? And we tend to push it to the extreme a little bit. But that's the business we're in, right? That's the game we're in. This game's things tend to get blown a little bit out of proportion at times. But, I mean, look, there's no doubt they needed to win some games, and Siebes needed them to win some games. They've done that. You know, he made some big calls during that period, moving Tommy to the centres, which I think Tommy's looked better since he's moved there. And at some point, I imagine he may end up back at fullback. Maybe he doesn't. But you know, he made some huge calls in that period, Siebes. He deserves a lot of credit for what's happened.
Great. Big news this week with Blayke Brailey rejecting an offer from Cronulla, or did Cronulla reject his offer, Michael Carayannis? What's going on?
I think a bit of both. I think Brailey's camp put terms to the Sharks, where they asked for a 5-year extension. The Sharks intimated they would give him a 3-year extension. On top of, both deals are on top of the 12 months that he has for next season. And the Sharks said no. The Brailey camp said no to the respective offers. So we're a bit of a holding pattern at the moment. Like for mine, he's been the form player of the competition. He has been ridiculously good. Watching him reminds me, and he's not at that level yet, but he's playing like Cameron Smith with speed. And that's a deadly combination.
You're calling Cameron Smith slow, Mick, or what's he doing there?
I'm saying he's faster than Cam Smith was, yeah.
You're saying basically he's better football than Cam Smith.
Oh, stop it.
That'll do me,
Stop
honestly.
Stop it.
I'd give him the 5 years by Blayke Brailey. I think he's that good a footballer.
6 more years, Ready, yeah?
Yeah, I'd give it. How old's Blayke?
26, turns 27.
Great. I'm not saying he's old, but I wouldn't have had him older than 25.
It's because he's got the baby face that,
Isn't it?
that doesn't miss a game, doesn't sweat. Like he's
So he'd be 33
freak.
by the end of that deal, yeah? Well, Appy Coruscant's just done a 2-year extension at the Tigers, and I think Appy's 33 maybe this year. So I don't think the age is a factor. And I think he's playing well enough that you've got to reward guys, particularly with expansion on the horizon. You reckon Perth won't want to sign Blayke Brailey? They'll throw everything at him if he's on the market. So you've got to understand the environment we're in at the moment. And for Cronulla, he's a guy, if they don't lock him down and give him what he wants, he'll just go to market and go to Perth and Mel will give him 5 years. You can bet your bottom dollar.
At $1 million a year.
Because you can build a club around a guy like
Definitely.
that. So I think Blake's got him over a barrel, Blake and his management, and they're going to have to cave in. Now, the issue is the ripple effect it has, right, on that squad, and with whether it forces them to... It's already tight there, right? They can't make Will Kennedy an offer. Things are tight there. So it'll put some pressure on the cap.
Where is that cap stretched? Why are we talking about... You're talking about your spine. They don't have...
Well, Nico's on a mill.
Nico's on a mill.
Nico's on big... Braden Trindle's on good money. Blayke Brailey's already on decent money. And you look at the money they've invested in their forward pack. Blake's on big money. Then you've got, Britton Nikora, Teague Wilton. Like these guys, and they've all had upgrades over the course of time. They signed Fanua Blake. Don't forget Toby Rudolph, Hammy Welly. They had interest from rival clubs when they re-signed.
Ronaldo, they had to fight to keep Ronaldo.
Talakai re-signed when he was playing Origin. I can see where the money's spent.
Yeah.
On that Sharks roster, no doubt. And I think they're probably a little bit forward heavy at the moment in terms of that cap balance. But yeah, look.
But if that's an issue with the cap now, that's not a longevity issue with the length of the contract.
No, look, I think they'll land somewhere. Maybe they offer him 4 years and they land somewhere in the middle, right? Because, I think Rudolph and Hamueli are off contract next season as well. So, whether they're both there to start next year, I'm not sure. But it's an interesting one because he has been the form player. Like I think James Tedesco has been the best player this year, but I think over the past 6 weeks or so, Blayke Brailey's been the form player of the competition. His service out of dummy half has always been the best. His pass off the ground is ridiculous. Defensively is outstanding. Now he's developed that running game.
Didn't you coach him?
Now he's developed that running game.
Did you coach him or not?
No.
Okay.
Did you pick up cones during coaching sessions?
Did you teach him how to pass off the ground?
I definitely didn't. Okay. I definitely didn't. But his pass is like a thing of beauty.
Wow.
Are you nervous if you're a Sharks fan with this development?
I'm nervous hearing him call the pass off the ground a thing of beauty.
I could watch it all day. You know what else I could watch all day? Scott Prince show and go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, mate. The way he used to disguise the ball.
Am I nervous if I'm a Sharks fan? Probably. Whenever there's a contract stalemate like this, look, I think he'll end up staying, but I'd be nervous. I'd be on the edge of my seat a little bit. As I said, particularly with Perth and Mal Meninga in the background, potentially, I'd be nervous. But I think he'll stay. I don't think he wants to. He's a shy boy, right? So
his locals come to
his father works at the club. I can't imagine he wants to leave.
He doesn't want to leave.
No. I can't imagine he will leave, sorry.
I think he stays, right? But the closer it gets to November 1, the more nervous, as Reedy said, the Bears would give him $5 million over 5 years straight away.
least.
Bang, done. And then you've locked up a guy that doesn't miss footy, plays 80 minutes, and
hookers are a bit of a prized commodity. There's not.
Oh yeah, at the
There's not a
moment.
lot of really classy hookers now.
where does he
going at the
rank for
moment.
you this year, Edie?
Oh well, I'm a Queenslander. Harry Grant's number 1, baby. But
Not on form.
well, he's been pretty good. Harry, you're a bit harsh.
Oh, Harry will be the starting kangaroo.
yeah.
Oh, like I'm not
I
saying
think
he's going to usurp.
he's probably he's top 3, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious.
I think on form he's number 1. But like if I was sitting there and doing a power ranking, I'd have him at 2.
2, yeah, probably is now. It's gone past Reece Robson.
It's blown.
Yeah.
Will it be a case of one more time for Josh Papali'i with suggestions that he may be having second thoughts about this being his final year in the NRL? Where are we leaning with this one?
Yeah, definitely not think he definitely has second thoughts about joining the Super League. Doesn't want to go to the Super League yet. Wants to remain in the NRL, so that throws a conundrum for the Raiders because they hadn't budgeted for Papali'i next season. He's on good freight this year and would obviously have to take a significant haircut if he stays at Canberra. But the issue will be for the Raiders that if he does stay, someone needs to get squeezed out. So, look, I think Papali'i will be in the NRL next year. I think most likely at Canberra, but don't shut the door completely on him playing for another NRL side next year.
I really find it hard to believe he'll leave Canberra.
Me too.
Look, to play for another NRL club.
Yeah.
He's got a 2-year deal on the table from St Helens in Super League. And he's obviously got a court hearing next month, which he's got to get through. But I don't think that'll stop him going to Super League necessarily. The issue, as Mick said, for Canberra is they didn't budget for him. Trey Mooney's management came to them before June 30 and asked the question about whether he would be allowed to leave early, right? The Canberra said, no, we need Trey Mooney, we want to keep him. What sort of message does it send to Trey Mooney? Because Trey Mooney thought that Josh Papali'i was going. What message does it send to Trey Mooney if you now then keep Josh Papali'i for another year? If I'm Trey Mooney's management, I'm knocking on the door saying, this ain't the deal. I want to see what's out there. So that's the issue they will confront if they keep Josh Papali'i around for another year. It's going to unsettle that squad. And I think Josh has said to them, look, I don't want you to lose players if I stay. Well, how do they not? Because they haven't budgeted for him being there. So that's the issue they're wrangling with at the moment, I think.
And Trey Mooney's 23? He's got 2 years remaining on that deal. He's only played 25 NRL games thereabouts and only have been in 5 games this year. So
we're just scratching the surface of what he can do. No one really knows, right? But Canberra certainly see a footballer in him. Otherwise, they would have said, when his management came to them pre-June 30, we'll go and see what's out there for you. So, they obviously want to keep him, but Trey Mooney wants to play first grade. And if Josh Papali'i goes around another year, that may inhibit his chances of playing first grade.
Right up, right?
Yeah.
Mm. What do you think? Can you see Josh Papali'i
You're right
playing?
there?
You're okay?
You're for the Pixies? You're thinking about Blayke Brailey's pass again, aren't you?
Beautiful pass.
With a big smile on his face.
As a league fan, it would seem wrong to see Josh Papali'i in any other team colour.
It would, but there'll be a market for him. You look at those clubs.
What would you pay Josh Papali'i though?
If I'm a rival club, $550 for a year, $550 for 1 year. You'd have the space now. Like you're not moving blokes to get him in, right? But if you've got the cap space, there's no middles on the market, and you need a middle, and he lands on your doorstep, and he's willing to take a 12-month deal, I'm doing that for sure. What would you pay him?
Me?
That's to get him out. If I'm Canberra, I'm offering $400.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know if Josh Papali'i's, with due respect to Josh, great footballer, but how old's Josh now? 33, 34? Like
you just said age wasn't a thing a couple of minutes ago.
I did, yeah. Bit different when you're a front rower.
But I'm saying
you're talking about a hooker.
I'm talking about for 1 year and not forecasting in 6 years' time. I'm talking about next year.
I don't know.
So you wouldn't sign him if you're a club that was desperate for a middle. You can get him 12 month. I'm talking about a 12-month contract
for $550. I'd give it some serious thought.
I'll put this to you: you're Shane Flanagan, Josh Papali'i on the market.
Done.
Yeah, probably.
No argument. Done.
Desperate.
And I know they've spoken about it.
Yeah.
Right. So done.
They've spoken about it. Have they had
of course
discussions with Josh's team?
Well, I think they've discussed it internally. I don't think anyone's of the belief that he's actually going to leave.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? That Josh
he might leave, but not to play against them.
Of course, yeah. No, I think everyone assumes Super League or Canberra, right? But if it becomes real and they believe it becomes real,
I think the flip side of it is, if you're Josh Papali'i, right, do you really want to go to another club for 1 year to play against Canberra? In a way, I wouldn't say it tarnishes your legacy or anything like that, right? It doesn't. But it just doesn't feel right.
Michael Jordan at the Wizards.
Well, I know that, but how bad was that?
It was bad. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
DC,
You're with me.
DC,
Sorry. DC the Roosters. And the alternative is you can go to England for 2 years, earn good money in Super League, and walk through it. It's a dollar for you.
Super League will always be there for a guy like him. Like, if he thinks he's got another year or 2 years potentially left in the NRL, he can always finish at the Super League. The Super League won't.
But why run around here for 1 more year with another club?
I understand what you're saying, right? But maybe he doesn't want to go to England. Maybe it's, I don't know.
He's got a deal there.
It doesn't mean he wants to go. Well, he obviously doesn't want to go because he could have just taken the deal.
Well, he must have wanted to go if his management wouldn't got him a deal there. At some point, he must have said to his management, I'll go to Super League for 2 years. So at some point, he must have wanted to go.
Well, that point has definitely changed.
Okay.
Because he wants to stay in the NRL.
Watch this space. Des Hasler's 500th game. Have you guys ever seen a coach go into a milestone game on the back of so much drama? The epic spray in the sheds last weekend, the conjecture over his future, the team that needs to have a good hard look at itself in the mirror for not showing up for their jobs and for their coach. It's going to be very interesting viewing coming up against the Warriors team who, probably need they need to keep winning, but they need a good little kill to keep that chasing pack at bay in that race for the top four.
I reckon what you'll see dramatically in this game is one side that is playing for its coach and one side that isn't. Like, I was at the Tigers game last week on the sideline, and they dead set weren't having a game most of that game. And I don't think Des has got the best out of it. Well, he clearly hasn't got the best out of them all year. He hasn't found a way to ignite that playing group. They show little glimpses of brilliance, and then they switch off and they're terrible, right? And the Warriors are the complete opposite of that. Like, everything they do, that they look like a really well-coached football team who are playing for each other and playing for the coach. The Titans look like a team that have no interest in playing football, full stop. And so I expect the Warriors to put the cleaners through them, to be honest.
Yeah, it'd be messy fallout if they do get beaten and beaten convincingly, because where do they go to, right? Like, I know they've got to make sure that there's no chance of making the top 8 before they pull the trigger on Des. There's got to be at some point where it's impossible for that to happen. So
you've got to let it, look, as bad as they've been, Mick, I think you've just got to let him finish. Like,
not if they get.
Don't pull the trigger now.
But the only issue is, Reedy, like, if they get pumped, right, the players are clearly not responding, right? Like, how bad does it have to get for them to, like, what? I don't know what benefit it serves if they're not playing for him. It's a little bit different in Newcastle, right? Whether you can see if Adam O'Brien gets sacked, you can still see the players are putting in for the coach, regardless of what happens. You can see, right? But it's not happening at the Titans. So if they get to the point where I don't see the point of hanging on to him, if it's just going to be a complete disaster.
So you stick someone in for 5 games. I mean, it just doesn't.
Well, it's been done plenty of time.
But do you do what Parramatta did last year? They had a caretaker for the rest of the season while Riles worked behind the sines to kickstart.
I just feel like Des deserves. We're talking about a bloke who's about to coach his 500th game. One of the great coaches of the modern era. Regardless of what happens at the Titans and what's happened over the past 2 years and what happened his last year at Manly, this is one of the great coaches, right? You're talking Wayne, Craig, Ivan, Robbo, Des, right? They're probably your 5 great coaches of the last 20 years, okay?
Correct.
I think he deserves to finish a year. And I think that, and I don't care whether the players are reacting to him or not, right? That's their issue. But I think Des deserves to finish this out. He'll be gone, right? We know he's going to be gone. How can he stay, given what's happened and the clauses in his deal? And effectively, if he's there next year, they've given him an extension. Mate, they're legless. You can't give him an extension.
I agree with that in theory, Reedy, but, like, does he also deserve a playing group that won't play for him?
Yeah, but Des deserves the right to go out in part on his terms.
If they get pumped and they're not playing for him and they're putting up more in that performance, I don't know. I get what you're saying. I just think it might be too far gone there.
But is that more on the playing group than
For
on
sure,
Des? Because you look at,
Yeah.
no offence, looking at the 2 bodies of work, you've got one guy who's won premierships as a coach and a player, and you've got a playing group that, in my mind, hasn't earned the right to complain about a coaching style because you've achieved nothing.
I agree. This is not all on Des, right? This is not all on, like that playing group. You sit down and you look at that roster, like that side should have beaten the Tigers comfortably, right? They really should. On paper, the Tigers did well to win that game, right?
Yeah.
But on paper, if you sat down and broke it down, you're going, well, this should be a Titans win, and that's been the case for a lot of the season, right? You look at those bottom 4 teams. Titans have the best team that they've been able to put through week in, week out compared to some of the other outfits. So, the players need to have a level of accountability, and that's what Des was brought in to do apparently, because they didn't think they were getting enough of that under Justin Holbrook. Well, it's got worse under Des.
Lewis Dodd.
Hey,
Lewis Dodd. Here he goes. Gets his chance.
Yep.
I'm trying to struggle to think of the last time there's been such an injury crisis at a club. How many first graders are they missing?
What was it?
11, I think.
44% of their salary cap?
48, I think.
Something
48?
like that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is nuts. It is nuts. But it is good to see Lewis get a start. Like, I think, it's overdue probably in terms of, the way Souths have played this year. He gets an opportunity. Let's see what the kid's got, right? There's been lots of noise, some unfair criticism of him, I think, as well. But give him an opportunity, let him play a couple of games, and then assess him, right? It's hard to assess him because they're going to be a side that's probably going to get beat, right? But get a feel to see, is this guy an NRL player or not? If he's not, make the decision to move him on. But give him a chance.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's got his chance now, right? A lot of people have wanted to see what he can do, and I think Wayne's felt like he didn't want to just gift him a spot in first grade. He had to earn it. But unfortunately, the injury toll's so significant now, he's just got no choice.
Default.
And I think, look, I hope he grabs it because he's been under so much pressure. There's going to be so much attention on him this weekend, Lewis Dodd. And look, he's a guy who came here he had big raps after that World Club Challenge when he kicked the field goal to win the game for Saints, played for England, but it just hasn't worked. And Mick's right. I mean, if it doesn't work now, they're going to sit down with him in the off season and work out a way to go their separate ways, because South can't afford to have that money with their squad, the way their squad's imbalanced and out of kilter at the moment. They can't afford to have that money wrapped up in a guy who the club has no faith in.
Yeah, and to Mick's point, it's hard to be critical of the kid when there's no body of evidence to be critical of because he hasn't been given a shot.
Well, he obviously hasn't killed it in New South Wales Cup, so that's the issue. He's gone back to New South Wales Cup and he hasn't brained it. And I think if he'd gone back to New South Wales Cup, he killed it, Wayne would have given him a game. I think they just wanted to see him earn a spot in first grade and not just gift it to him, as I said. I think that's the issue, right? He hasn't gone back to New South Wales Cup and he hasn't dominated. But conversely, what's happened to that club? Everyone's pointing out how they're last in New South Wales Cup and they're last in flag and all that sort of stuff. But when you have injuries in the top grade, then it strips all your lower grades. So I mean, at times in reserve grade, he's been playing with blokes who probably aren't up to reserve grade standard. Yeah. So that's the problem for him and for that club at the moment.
Yeah, I think he needs to play. I really think he should finish the season, provided he doesn't have an absolute shocker.
Well, the season's a write-off anyway, isn't it?
Let him play. Let us see. Let us judge. And even if you're not happy with him and he has a crack, well, you might be able to sell him. Yeah. You're not going to be able to sell him for what he's on in reserve grade, right? Yeah. So let him play some football. Let him see and showcase some of his skills.
Yeah, well, that's the case because the money, the salary cap's going to be the issue, right? The salary that he's on.
Yeah.
But you give the South season's over. Give him the rest of the year to show something, get a bit of confidence, and you might spark something in him that says, hey, he's worth persisting.
He sort of needs to be told, mate, you're our halfback regardless for the rest of the year. Yeah. And just take a little bit of pressure off, a little bit of the burden off, because we all know what the storylines are going to be after Saturday night. We're going to be watching him to see how he goes, how he performs, and they're probably going to be in a side that gets beat comfortably.